episode 3 of the Soccer Podcast Show. My name is Paul, and I'm joined by my fellow host Noel. So welcome, Noel. Thanks for joining us today.
No problem, Paul. How are we doing?
Yeah. Now, first of all, we're just going to do a quick review of the Premiership season across Channel. The internationals now are finished until June, and so back to club action. There's about 8-9 games to go. We're now into as the man says, the business end of the season. So we'll just look at the top first. Noel, what's your opinion of the top? Is it between Arsenal and Manchester City, or can someone else break into that?
No one else can break into that, Paul. It's a straight shootout now between Arsenal and Manchester City. United were flirting with us there about a month or two ago, but they've lost a lot. They've lost a lot of momentum. Funny enough, ever since they won the League Cup, their form's gone nosedive altogether in the league. They lost 7-0 to Liverpool away in Anfield there a couple of weeks ago, and they lost again on Saturday evening to Newcastle 2-0. And I always saw the highlights of it, but Manchester United were from a lot of United fans were saying they were terrible. Newcastle played very well, beat them 2-0. Could have been 3 or 4 by the performance of United. They were very, very poor.
So what about Arsenal this year? Are they keeping up the momentum?
They've I think they've 29 games played, Paul. They're 8 ahead of Man City, but Man City have a game in hand. So if Man City win their game in hand, they'll be down to 5 points. They still have to play each other later this month, actually, as far as I remember.
Where's that game on it?
It's Manchester City are at home to Arsenal.
Right.
It's a massive game. Manchester City started the weekend off. They beat Man City beat Liverpool 4-1. They went behind through nearly Mohamed Salah goal, but I think Alvarez, the man that was in for Haaland was injured. He didn't play at all. Alvarez scored, Kevin De Bruyne scored, and I forget who got the third goal, but Jack Grealish got the fourth, and Jack Grealish was outstanding in the game. He's finally coming into a bit of form, Jack Grealish. The 100 million price tag has been weighing on his shoulders, but last couple of weeks he's coming to form now, and Arsenal then followed up at the 3 o'clock kickoff with a 4-1 win over Leeds United. So Leeds United were back into the relegation zone after that defeat. So it's a straight shootout between Manchester City and Arsenal. It's amazing the transformation of Arsenal over the last 2 seasons. Last year they made, some people say, the bottled 4th place, didn't get into the Champions League. The recruitment that Arsenal made during the summer, they brought back Saliba, they got in Zinchenko from Manchester City and Gabriel Jesus from Manchester City. 3 key players that they got into that squad, and the squad has been transformed completely.
No, just back to Arsenal. Is it a benefit or a hindrance to Arsenal? They're not involved in Europe, as you said. They have a clear run ahead. Manchester City are in the quarterfinals of the European Cup, and obviously Manchester City want to win the Premiership. But that's right, yeah. But the big one for Man City is to win the European Cup, because they've been putting millions into it. They got to one final. Chelsea beat them in the final. They've been in a couple of quarterfinals. Millions. That's the big one for them. So I know they have a huge squad. Is that an advantage to Arsenal? They're just concentrating on that. Will they be able to keep it up?
I think it's a huge advantage for Arsenal. I mean, being a Chelsea fan is not very nice seeing Arsenal at the top of the league, but I was actually hoping that Arsenal would win the penalty shootout they had against Sporting Lisbon, because I thought it's a win-win for Arsenal. They win, they go into the next round. They lose the penalty shootout. They've already got 10 league games or 11 league games as well at the time to concentrate on. So I felt it's a huge benefit to Arsenal, because they don't have the squad depth that Manchester City have. You take Partey out of that Arsenal side, Nick Saliba out of that Arsenal side, or Gabriel Jesus. I know Jesus was injured for a number of months. They managed to cope, and Kessie came into a good bit of form. But I think the squad depth at Arsenal, as I said, isn't as big as Manchester City's. Like Haaland was missing there at the weekend, and they still managed to score 4 goals. I think City this season have been inconsistent. I think they're getting into the form that has denied Liverpool numerous times over the last couple of years. Manchester City could go and win their last 11 games. I think that they have a game in hand. I think they probably might have to do that, because I don't see Arsenal dropping any points.
Yeah.
The big one for Arsenal this weekend is the way to Liverpool. If they beat Liverpool at Anfield, where they haven't won for a long time, I think Arsenal will seriously need some stopping.
Yeah, go back to Arsenal. We know when Arsene Wenger was involved, he had great success. But the last 3, 4, 5 years, he didn't have much success. Now, there was a compromise made. They were building the Emirates. They were getting it up and running. I wondered, are they now starting to show the fruits of that that building, because the Emirates, there's a huge crowd there. I do know there's a good friend of mine who's an Arsenal supporter. He was over there. He said that it's the dearest for tickets. Everything is dear there. It's a money-making machine in the Emirates. And now, eventually, that sacrifice that Wenger made in the last 3 or 4 years is now starting to come through. They have the money, obviously based in London. They have huge support as well. But the money now is there, and they're now coming back into be one of the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, well, I would say Wenger sacrificed a lot for that stadium. To be fair, he was getting huge criticism for just finishing top 4 because Arsenal were challenged for Premier League titles, and himself and Ferguson were at one another for the best part of over a decade. But I think from 2006 on, when they lost the Champions League final, they seemed to go into a bit of decline, as you said, to pay for the stadium, and Wenger. I would say in the last 4 or 5 years, he probably stayed too long. I think he should have gone. When they beat us, funny enough, in the FA Cup final in 2017, I thought that was probably the perfect way for him to go.
Yeah, but no, sorry.
Stayed on for another season, and in the end.
Yeah, sorry, Noel. Can you just address the way the modern now? Are they now getting the benefits of that sacrifice? That they now have a huge stadium, they get huge money every match day, they're making millions out of it. Are they now starting to get the benefit, in your opinion?
Well, to be fair, Paul, this sort of league challenge has come out of nowhere. Because they were fifth last season, and nobody at the start of the season was saying Arsenal could challenge for the Premier League title. I mean, the last couple of years they had Unai Emery there, who was an experienced manager, won a lot of Europa Leagues with Sevilla. He failed at Arsenal. He lost the Europa League final to Chelsea 4-1. Arteta came in, he won an FA Cup, but the last couple of years before this brilliant run they're on now at the moment. No, really, it might have been a plan. Arteta was probably building a squad, but if he was under any other, if he was a Chelsea manager, United manager, he would definitely have been gone before.
That's Arteta you're talking about, is it?
Arteta, yeah, because there was a game, he lost the first 3 games of last season, and they had a game against Norwich, I think, where they won 1-0. And there was talk that if he lost that game or if he drew that game, he could be out the door. Don't forget, a lot of Arsenal fans at that time wanted Arteta out. There was even banners saying Arteta out.
I wonder, are they saying the same thing now? I wonder.
They're not. But that's the funny thing, Paul. You see, it's a results business. If you compare Arteta with Potter, Arteta got the results. He had an FA Cup in his back pocket when he had a bit of trouble. So the owners obviously saw something in him. Plus, he worked under Pep Guardiola. So there was a bit of a steal about him, and the way he threw out Aubameyang when he was at Arsenal, he was messing around. He was team captain, he threw him out, and I think the players had a lot of respect for Arteta making the decision because he said, "I'll back you, but you got to play ball." So there's a bit of a steal to him. His antics on the sideline can get a bit of annoying. I remember watching us play. It was Chelsea and Arsenal in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge, and they killed us. I mean, it was 1-0 at the end, but that was when I felt that Arsenal could make a serious challenge and do something really, really good this year. I hate to say it, but they're proving everyone wrong this season. But it's the last 10 games that's going to be key.
Yeah. Now we look at the top 4 now. You have Manchester United are there. Are Newcastle there? Are they? Are they surprised? I heard there a lot of money got involved in doing their own.
Yeah. The ownership, the Saudis company had bought them. I don't know exactly the whole.
But we know there's big money behind them.
There's big money behind them, and they're in 3rd place now. They're level on points with Tottenham and Manchester United. 3rd, 4th, and 5th are all on 50 points. I think Tottenham do have 2 games played more than Manchester United, but Everton and Tottenham blew last night. It was 1-1. So there's 3 teams, 3rd, 4th, and 5th are all level on 50 points, and I think the way things are going, I think Newcastle and United will just about make it.
And what about Spurs?
Tottenham they're so inconsistent. Conte's gone. I saw the last 20 minutes of the game yesterday. They were 1-0 up. They were playing against 10 men, and to be honest with you nearly think that Everton would with the team with 11 men. It was just, it was defensive. They couldn't keep the ball.
What about the 4th place? Will Liverpool get into the 4th place? They seem to be struggling this year.
They're struggling big time, Paul. There's a big match tonight. They're going to Stamford Bridge playing Chelsea, and I hope as a Chelsea fan there's a bit of a bounce or some response in there, but I think Liverpool have to win the next 2 games to have any hope at all of getting into the top. They're 8 points behind 4th place, which is who's it? Newcastle, I think. No, you're not. Sorry, Tottenham. So it's they have to win. They have to win these two games to have any chance. They're 8 points behind us. The game's running out for Liverpool. They're going to have to go on a similar run they went in 2021, where they couldn't win the game at home, and then they were drawing games like Aiden. And in the last 10 or 11 games, I think they won 8 or 9 of them. So they're going to have to go on a real run again to get in there.
Yeah, and what about Chelsea? Big news at Chelsea. I believe you just telling me the other sector manager. Is that correct? Can you just confirm that?
Yeah, more dread, more. It's a mess at the moment. To be honest with you, we've gone. We're looking for a third manager in one season. Sacked Tuchel in September. Brought in Potter. Paid 20 million to get him out of Brighton, and now we're going to pay him 13 to in compensation after sacking him. It's a mess. The trouble with owners. They made their millions, but they haven't made their billions in football, unfortunately, Paul, because it's just the way it is. You got to get results in football, particularly big rich owners. They're not gonna settle for 11th place when the team 2 years ago was winning the Champions League. It's just big business now. You're just going to have to get the results, no matter who you are, whether it's an experienced manager or unexperienced manager. You need to get the results. If you don't get the results, you're out the door. That's the way it's going with Potter.
Yeah. Now, of course, Chelsea are still in the quarter final of the European Cup. When is the game done? Is it next week, Aaron, or is it 2 weeks?
Next week, next Wednesday is the first leg away to Real Madrid, and then the following week, then is the second leg at home in Stamford Bridge.
Yeah,
that's all that we have to play for now.
We can preview them next week anyway. So we won't talk too much about it. So we go down to the bottom of the table now. There's about 6 or 7 teams that will be in the relegation battle. We'll say and strangely, normally there's one team out the door, out the gate, which they seem to be is the Southampton down at the bottom, but they're still they can go on a run. We'll say so. It could be any 3 out of 8 teams, I believe.
From 12th down, Paul, when you have Chelsea or 11th, so I haven't got to the 40 points yet, but we'll get there, Paul. I think if we win tonight, we're safe. No, I think I have a funny feeling Southampton and I thought Bournemouth had a fantastic victory at home to Fulham there at the weekend. I just have a sneaky feeling that Southampton will go, Bournemouth will go, and I'm sorry to say, Paul, it may be between Notts Forest and Leeds to go down.
And they're actually playing tonight, Noel.
They are. Yeah, the two of them are playing. That's going to be key, Paul. If Leeds could win that game, or your own club Forest win that game, that's 3 valuable points, because although Forest they haven't been in the relegation spaces lately.
No, but
they're slowly falling. Yeah. They're slowly a lot of teams are trying to crawl. They're slowly getting caught into it again, and I think if they win today, it's massive. But that game, you couldn't have placed it better. Leeds.
Well, look again, Noel. I told you 2 weeks ago, if I was offered the last game of the season and we needed a result to stay up, I'd probably take it, because we're going to be touch and go for 17th. And those are online forums. I'm a member of them, and I know some of the people are there for real, or they're just acting the clown because they're shouting for the manager Cooper to be sacked and bring in Patrick Vieira or bring in someone for the last 8 games. So that's absolute crazy stuff. No, maybe they're just saying it to get a reaction. I don't think they're being serious. But you know what I mean? It's crazy stuff to me.
Well, to be fair, he's had a lot on. He got promoted, but a lot of players who were on loan and some were out of contract. It was even. I wouldn't say it was as bad as Chelsea, but he brought in about 20 players this year, hadn't he? He brought a lot of players in the summer, and then he brought a couple in June, January. He has Navas, the lad that used to play for PSG. He won the Champions League with Real Madrid in goals. Felt it was a bit harsh on Dean Henderson. I didn't think Dean Henderson was doing much wrong, but he has him in between the sticks now, and he has Morgan Gibson's White. He's a lot of Serge Aurier used to play at Tottenham. He's a lot of players, and I think he's managed for a club that just got promoted, and just faces he was. A lot of people thought he was on the brink of being sacked, but then the owners backed him and gave him a new contract. So if he stays up, it's a fantastic job, because he's working with players that they're really just getting to know each other.